Greenleaf Hood. Chapter 1. The Girl Nobody Wanted. Most people in Greenleaf Hood had a story. Some stories were good. Most weren't. Old men sitting outside the corner store told stories about the days when Greenleaf Hood ruled the entire east side of the city. Mothers told stories about how things used to be safer. Kids told stories about local legends, the strongest fighters, the richest hustlers, the ghosts that supposedly wandered the abandoned train tunnels beneath the neighborhood. But there was one story nobody liked talking about, the story of the Golden Fox. 16 years ago, Greenleaf Hood almost disappeared. Buildings burned, cars exploded, entire blocks became battlefields. Nobody agreed on exactly what happened, nobody except the people who were there. And those people refused to talk. All anybody knew was that a terrible spirit appeared, a spirit with golden flames and 9 tails, a monster powerful enough to destroy everything, a monster that somehow vanished before sunrise. People thought the nightmare was over. Then a baby girl was found, and ever since that day, strange things kept happening around her. Lights exploded, windows cracked, streetlights flickered whenever she got angry. Nobody could prove anything, but everybody suspected the same thing. The Golden Fox never left. It simply found a new home. That girl's name was Nia Carter, and today was probably going to be another terrible day. "Move!" the shout echoed through the apartment hallway. A door slammed open. A dark-skinned girl burst into the corridor. She nearly tripped over her own shoelaces. "Not again!" She hopped on one foot while trying to tie her shoe. A neighbor watched from her doorway. "Running late again?" "No, you are literally running." "Okay, maybe a little." Nia finished tying the shoe, then immediately started sprinting. The old woman shook her head. "That child gonna break her neck one day." Nia flew down 3 flights of stairs. She nearly crashed into a mailman, then a bicycle, then a dog. "Watch where you're going," the dog owner screamed. "Sorry, you say that every week. Consistency is important." The dog owner stared in confusion. Nia kept running. The streets of Greenleaf Hood slowly woke around her. Store owners unlocked gates, kids walked toward school, basketballs bounced on cracked courts, music blasted from apartment windows. To most people, it looked rough. To Nia, it looked home. She reached the basketball court near Building 9. Several teenagers already occupied the area. The moment they saw her, a few groaned. "Here she comes." Why she always got so much energy? I get tired just watching her. Nia jumped on a picnic table. She spread her arms dramatically. "Good morning, future citizens." "Citizens? Of my future kingdom. Here we go. When I become queen of Greenleaf Hood, you ain't becoming queen. There will be free pizza every Friday. Where are you getting money for that? Details. You don't even got bus fare. Temporary setback." Laughter spread across the court. Nia grinned. She laughed with them, at least outwardly. Inside, it hurt, because nobody believed her. Nobody thought she would become anything important. To most people, she was a joke. The loud girl, the weird girl, the troublemaker, the Fox Girl. The last nickname bothered her most, not because it was mean, because she never understood it. Adults always got uncomfortable when they heard it, as if they knew something she didn't. A loud whistle interrupted her thoughts. Everyone looked toward the community center. An older man stood near the entrance. Tall, broad shoulders, calm eyes. Coach Reese. Listen up. The room instantly quieted. Today's evaluation determines who graduates. Excitement filled the room. Nia sat forward. Her eyes sparkled. This was her third attempt, her third chance, her third opportunity to prove everyone wrong. Passing means becoming an official Greenleaf runner. A few recruits smiled. Failing means another year. Nia immediately stopped smiling. I don't like that option. You should have considered that before setting the gym on fire. It was one fire. It was 3 fires. They were emotionally connected. Laughter filled the room. Even Nia laughed. But secretly, she was nervous because this mattered more than anyone realized. She didn't want respect, not really. She wanted belonging. She wanted somebody to look at her and see family. And deep down, she feared nobody ever would. Greenleaf Hood. Chapter 2, Squad 9. Morning arrived far too early. At least, that was Nia Carter's professional opinion. The alarm on her phone exploded into life at 6 in the morning. Nia slapped it. The alarm continued. She slapped it harder. The alarm somehow became louder. Nia groaned and rolled out of bed. The floor greeted her face. Ow! A wonderful start to the day. For several seconds, she remained motionless. Then reality returned. Today. Today was important. Today she officially became a Greenleaf runner. Nia sat upright so quickly she nearly headbutted the wall. Oh, right! A huge grin spread across her face. Yesterday had actually happened. She hadn't dreamed it. Coach Reese had passed her. The Greenleaf headband hanging from her bedpost was proof. Nia grabbed it immediately. For several seconds, she simply stared at it. A strange warmth spread through her chest. Nobody had ever really believed in her before, not completely. Coach Reese did. That thought alone made her smile. Then she immediately put the headband on backward. After several failed attempts, she managed to fix it. Mostly. Good enough. Future Queen of Greenleaf Hood reporting for duty. The mirror disagreed. Her hoodie was crooked. One shoelace was untied. Her hair looked like she'd fought a tornado and lost. Nia pointed at her reflection. You are witnessing greatness. The reflection remained unconvinced. The Greenleaf Community Center buzzed with excitement. New runners filled the hallways. Everyone talked about squad assignments. Who would end up together? Who would get stuck with difficult partners? Who would receive the best mentor? Nia practically kicked the door open. I'm here. Nobody reacted. Nia frowned. Tough crowd. She entered the classroom. Most seats were already occupied. Immediately, her attention locked onto a familiar face. A boy sat alone near the window. Black jacket, dark eyes, perfect posture, completely ignoring everyone around him. Malik Graves, the strongest graduate, the quiet genius, the kid every instructor seemed obsessed with. Rumors followed him everywhere. Some claimed he had defeated grown gang members when he was 12. Others claimed he could see spirit energy before it was even activated. Most stories were probably exaggerated. Probably. Nia marched directly toward him. Yo. No response. Yo. Still nothing. Yo. Malik slowly turned his head. His expression suggested he regretted being born. What? Nia grinned. We're probably going to be teammates. No. You don't know that. I do. How? Because life hates me. Nia laughed. Malik did not. That somehow made it funnier. Across the room, another voice spoke. You're bothering him. Nia looked over. A girl with green streaks in her hair sat nearby. Jade Rivera. Top of the academic rankings. Terrifying temper. Excellent fighter. She crossed her arms. I don't know why you're surprised he doesn't want to talk. Nia gasped dramatically. You wound me. You'll survive. You don't know that. I'm willing to take the risk. Nia immediately liked her. Unfortunately, Jade clearly did not feel the same way. An hour later, Coach Reese entered the room. The noise instantly died. He held a clipboard, the most terrifying object known to students everywhere. Squad assignments. Everyone sat up. Coach Reese adjusted his glasses. Squad 1, names were called. Several students celebrated. Others groaned. Assignments continued. The tension grew. Finally, Squad 9. Nia leaned forward. Nia Carter. Let's go. Malik Graves. Malik sighed. Nia pointed triumphantly. Told you. Malik looked like he wanted to jump out the window. Jade Rivera. Jade groaned. No. Coach Reese ignored her. Your mentor is Ace Walker. The entire room exploded. What? No way. Him? Seriously? Nia blinked. Why was everyone reacting like that? She raised her hand. Question. Coach Reese already looked tired. Yes? Who is Ace Walker? The entire room stared at her. Coach Reese closed his eyes. Of course you don't know. 10 minutes later, the 3 members of Squad 9 sat alone, waiting and waiting and waiting. Nia checked the clock. He's late. No response. 5 more minutes passed. He's really late. Still no response. 20 more minutes passed. Nia slammed her head on the desk. This dude ain't coming. The classroom door opened. A man entered. Silver hair, face partially covered by a black mask, hands in his pockets. Completely relaxed. Everyone stared. The man stared back. Then he smiled. My bad. Silence. My route here had complications. Jade frowned. What kind of complications? I saw a cat. The room remained silent. I followed the cat. The cat led me to another cat. Nia blinked. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. The man pointed at her. I like this one. Jade groaned. Malik looked exhausted. Ace Walker laughed. Looks like we're going to have fun. For some reason, those words sounded threatening. Later that afternoon, Squad 9 stood on a rooftop overlooking Greenleaf Hood. The city stretched toward the horizon. Sunlight reflected off distant buildings. Traffic moved below. Ace leaned against a railing. Introduce yourselves. Nia raised her hand. We already know each other. Humor me. Nia shrugged. I'm Nia Carter. She grinned. I'm going to become the greatest leader of Greenleaf Hood has ever seen. Ace nodded. Ambitious. Damn right. What do you like? Ramen. What do you dislike? People who underestimate me. For a brief moment, nobody laughed, because the answer felt honest. Ace noticed, but said nothing. His gaze shifted. Malik. The boy looked toward the city. My name is Malik Graves. What do you want? Silence followed. Long silence. Eventually he answered. Power. The word felt heavy, cold, dangerous. Ace's expression became thoughtful. I see. His gaze shifted again. Jade. The girl folded her arms. My name is Jade Rivera. What do you want? She hesitated, then answered quietly, to prove myself. Ace nodded. Finally, all eyes turned toward him. What about you? Nia asked. Ace smiled beneath the mask. What do I want? The wind moved across the rooftop. His visible eye curved slightly. To see whether any of you are worth teaching. The smile immediately disappeared. So tomorrow, the 3 recruits straightened. We begin the real test. Nia blinked. Real test? You passed graduation. Ace nodded. Congratulations. The pause that followed felt dangerous. Now let's see if you're actually runners. The sun slowly disappeared beyond the skyline, and for the first time since becoming official, Nia felt nervous, because something told her tomorrow would change everything.
Greenleaf Hood, Chapter 3, The Rooftop Test. Nia couldn't sleep. This wasn't unusual. What was unusual was the reason. Normally, she couldn't sleep because she had eaten too much ramen, or because she had stayed up watching videos, or because she'd accidentally consumed enough energy drinks to power a small city. Tonight was different. Tonight, she couldn't stop thinking about Ace Walker. The mentor was weird. Suspiciously weird. Nobody followed cats for 3 hours. Nobody. Nia stared at the ceiling. What kind of test is he planning? The ceiling offered no answers, which was rude. Eventually, she rolled over and checked the time. 5:02 a.m. Her eyes widened. I've been awake all night. This was bad. Very bad. But she refused to be late. Not on the first day. Not when she finally had a chance to prove herself. At exactly 7:30 in the morning, Nia arrived at the designated rooftop. Nobody else was there. For 5 glorious minutes, she felt incredibly responsible. Then Malik arrived. Without saying a word, without making a sound. 1 second the rooftop was empty. The next second, he was standing nearby. Nia nearly screamed. What is wrong with you? Malik shrugged. You were distracted. Normal people make noise when they walk. I walked. Like a ghost. Thank you. That wasn't a compliment. Malik ignored her, as usual. 10 minutes later, Jade arrived. Coffee in one hand, annoyance in the other. She looked exhausted. You better not be late. Nia pointed dramatically. I've been here for 30 minutes. Nobody asked. That's not the point. It should be. The argument continued for several minutes. Ace Walker still hadn't appeared. 8 o'clock came and went. Then 8:30. Then 9. Nia's eye twitched. I'm gonna throw him off this roof. Jade nodded. Reasonably. Malik surprisingly agreed. Fair. Finally.
Ace eventually led them to the opposite side of the rooftop. A small metal table waited there. 3 black boxes rested on top. Each box contained a silver token. Ace picked up 3 orange cards, then smiled. That smile immediately worried everyone. Simple challenge. Whenever adults said simple challenge, it was never simple. Ever. Ace tossed one card to each student. The card contained a number. Nia looked down. Number 7. Jade had number 4. Malik had number 1. "What's this for?" Jade asked. Ace pointed toward the city. "Somewhere in Greenleaf Hood are 3 checkpoints." A map appeared in his hand. Spirit energy glowed faintly beneath the paper. "The goal is to retrieve the checkpoint markers and return before sunset." Nia blinked. "That's it?" "That's it." "Seriously?" "Seriously." The challenge sounded easy. Too easy. Everyone noticed, especially Malik. His eyes narrowed. "What aren't you telling us?" Ace smiled. "There are only 2 completion certificates." Silence. Nia frowned. "What?" "Only 2. Ace held up 2 fingers. "There are 3 of you." The realization slowly settled over the rooftop. Jade's expression darkened. Malik remained calm. Nia looked confused, then horrified. "Hold up!" Ace nodded. "One of you fails." The rooftop became very quiet.
Nia hated this immediately. The challenge wasn't difficult. The challenge was the choice. 3 students, 2 certificates, 1 failure. She looked at Jade, then Malik. They had only met yesterday, but still, something about it felt wrong. Ace watched carefully, watching their reactions, studying them like a scientist observing experiments. "I'll see you at sunset." Before anyone could ask another question, he vanished. Spirit energy rippled through the air. Then he was gone. Nia stared. Show off.
For several minutes, nobody moved. Then Jade grabbed the map. "We should split up." Malik nodded. "Most efficient option." Nia frowned. Something bothered her. Something felt off. Very off. "Wait." The others looked toward her. "What?" Nia pointed at the certificates. "Don't y'all think this is weird?" Jade crossed her arms. "How? Why would he train us together if only 2 people can pass?" Neither answered immediately, because it was a good question, unfortunately. Malik eventually shrugged. "Doesn't matter." Nia blinked. "Of course it matters. The objective remains the same. And if one of us gets kicked out?" Malik looked away. His expression hardened. "Then one of us wasn't good enough." The words hit harder than he intended. For a moment, nobody spoke. Nia looked down because she knew exactly what it felt like to be the one who wasn't good enough. An hour later, the team moved through Greenleaf Hood. They hadn't officially agreed to stay together. It just happened. Nia talked constantly. Jade complained constantly. Malik tolerated both, barely. Their first checkpoint turned out to be hidden beneath an abandoned basketball court. The marker rested inside a spirit-sealed container. Jade discovered the seal. Malik broke it. Nia retrieved the marker. The process took less than 10 minutes, which immediately created another problem. "See," Nia said, "this challenge too easy." Jade nodded reluctantly. "Way too easy." Malik remained silent, thinking, observing, analyzing. The more successful they became, the less sense the challenge made. By mid-afternoon, they had collected all 3 markers. No injuries, no major obstacles, no difficult battles. Nothing. Nia sat atop a railing overlooking the neighborhood. "This is definitely a trap." Jade agreed. "Has to be." Malik looked at the setting sun. Then his eyes widened slightly. The first real reaction anyone had seen from him all day. Nia noticed immediately. "What's wrong?" Malik looked toward the certificates, then towards his teammates, then towards the setting sun. Finally, he understood. And suddenly, everything made sense. The challenge wasn't the checkpoints. Jade frowned. What are you talking about? Malik's gaze hardened. The challenge was us. Nia blinked. Huh? Malik sighed. The answer was obvious. The checkpoints were easy. The time limit was generous. The entire assignment was designed to force a decision. The realization hit Jade next. Her eyes widened. No. Malik nodded. There are 3 markers, 3 students, 3 successful participants. The only obstacle was the certificates. Nia slowly stood, then finally understood. They wanted us to fight. Malik nodded. Exactly. Ace never wanted markers, never wanted checkpoints, never cared about the challenge. He wanted competition, selfishness, betrayal. He wanted to see what kind of people they really were. Sunset painted the sky orange. The team returned to the rooftop. Ace waited beside the table, hands in pockets, looking completely relaxed. Welcome back. Nia slammed all 3 markers onto the table. We figured it out. Ace raised an eyebrow. Oh? The challenge wasn't about checkpoints, Nia pointed dramatically. It was about teamwork. Ace smiled. The dangerous smile returned. Continue. Nia grinned. You wanted us fighting. You wanted us competing. You wanted somebody left behind. Ace looked impressed, which somehow felt scarier. And? Nia crossed her arms. We ain't doing that. Malik placed her marker beside Nia's. Malik added his own. The 3 markers rested together, a complete set, a team. For several seconds, nobody spoke. The wind moved gently across the rooftop. Finally, Ace laughed. Actually laughed. The first genuine laugh they'd heard from him. Congratulations. Nia blinked. Wait. Ace picked up 3 certificates. Not 2, 3. Nia's jaw dropped. You liar. Ace nodded. Correct. You had 3 the whole time. Also correct. Jade looked ready to throw something. Malik simply sighed, as though this outcome had somehow exhausted him. Ace handed each of them a certificate. Then his expression became serious. The streets are full of powerful people. The city is full of talented fighters. His visible eye focused on them. But power alone means nothing. The playful attitude vanished completely. For the first time, they saw the veteran behind the jokes, the protector behind the laziness. The strongest crews aren't built on strength. They're built on trust. Silence followed, because nobody had a joke for that. Nobody had a comeback. The lesson felt real, earned, important. Ace smiled again, this time softer. Welcome to Squad 9. For the first time, the 3 recruits stood together, not as classmates, not as rivals, not as strangers, a real squad. And none of them realized that somewhere beyond Greenleaf Hood, someone had already started watching them. Someone interested in the power sleeping in Nia Carter. Someone who knew the truth about the Golden Fox. Someone coming closer with every passing day. Greenleaf Hood, Chapter 4. The Bridge Builder. Being a Greenleaf runner was a scam. Nia Carter arrived at that conclusion sometime around noon while chasing a tiny white dog through an apartment complex. The dog's name was Princess. Princess was evil. There was no other explanation. The tiny monster squeezed through a gap in a fence, darted beneath a parked car, and disappeared into an alley before Nia could catch her. Nia bent over with her hands on her knees. "How are you this fast? You're 6 pounds!" Princess barked once, then continued running. "Get back here!" By the time Nia finally returned the dog to its owner, she was exhausted, dirty, and questioning every life choice she'd ever made. This was not what she'd imagined. For years, she'd dreamed about becoming an official runner. She'd imagined dangerous missions, battles, adventure, respect. Instead, she'd spent the last 3 days delivering groceries and babysitting old people. Not that there was anything wrong with helping people, but she had not survived 3 graduation attempts to become a professional dog catcher. The moment she stepped into Greenleaf Community Center, she collapsed face first onto a couch. "I'm retiring." Jade didn't bother looking up from the notebook in her lap. "You've been a runner for 4 days." "Exactly. I've seen enough." Malik sat near the window reading one of his usual books. Nobody knew where he kept finding them. Nobody had ever actually seen him buy one. Nia was starting to suspect he simply manifested books whenever he felt like it. "I'm serious," she continued. "Princess changed me." Jade sighed. "You're talking about the dog again." "I'm talking about my greatest enemy." Malik turned a page. "The dog won, didn't it?" The betrayal hit harder than expected. "You too?" "It sounds like the dog won." "The dog absolutely won." Jade snorted. Nia pointed accusingly at both of them. "One day, I'll get my revenge." "Against a chihuahua?" "You don't understand what we've been through." The front doors opened. Conversation immediately died. Ace Walker stepped inside carrying his usual coffee. The silver-haired mentor looked as relaxed as ever. Too relaxed. Nia still hadn't forgiven him for showing up 2 hours late to their squad test. A normal person would have felt shame. Ace somehow seemed proud of it. His visible eye drifted toward the couch. "Why are you laying face down?" "I'm mourning." "Who died?" "My dreams." Ace nodded thoughtfully. "Understandable." Nia sat upright. "Wait, you're supposed to disagree." "That sounds exhausting." She couldn't even argue with that. Before she could try, however, she noticed something unusual. Ace was carrying a file, a thick one, the kind that usually meant actual work, real work, dangerous work, the kind she'd been waiting for. Instantly, she was on her feet. "Mission?" Ace took a sip of coffee. "Maybe." "That's not a no." "Very observant." Jade closed her notebook. Malik finally looked up from his book. For the first time all day, everyone was paying attention. Ace placed the file on a nearby table. His expression became slightly more serious. Not completely serious. That would probably cause some kind of natural disaster, but serious enough to matter. "We've received an escort assignment." Nia groaned. Her excitement evaporated immediately. "That's it? You don't even know the details." "It's escorting somebody." "True." "Boring." Ace tapped the folder. "The client currently has a 6-figure bounty on his head." Nia paused, then slowly sat back down. "Okay, continue." A faint smile appeared beneath Ace's mask. The file opened. A photograph slid onto the table. The man in the picture looked completely ordinary. Gray beard, work jacket, weathered face. The sort of guy you'd expect to see buying tools at a hardware store, not someone worth 6 figures. His name is Marcus Bennett. Nia stared at the picture, then looked at Ace, then back at the picture. "That guy?" "That guy. He looks like somebody's grandpa." "He is somebody's grandpa. Then why does somebody want him dead?" The room grew quiet. Ace leaned against the table. "That's what we're about to find out." Half an hour later, the man himself arrived. Marcus Bennett looked exactly like his photo. Actually, no. He looked more tired. The kind of tired that came from carrying something heavy for a very long time. Not physically, emotionally. His eyes swept across the room before settling on Squad 9. For a brief moment, he seemed disappointed. Nia understood why. 3 teenagers, one mentor who looked like he slept through half his responsibilities. Not exactly intimidating. Marcus sighed. "These are my bodyguards?" "Wow, you really know how to make a first impression." The old man looked mildly embarrassed. "Sorry, didn't mean it like that." "You absolutely meant it like that." A tiny smile appeared on his face, the first one they'd seen. That alone made Nia like him a little more. Ace motioned toward an empty chair. "Tell us what's going on." Marcus sat. For several seconds, he simply stared at the table, gathering his thoughts. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet. "We're building a bridge." Nobody said anything, mostly because that wasn't the answer they'd expected. Nia blinked. "A bridge?" Marcus nodded. "A bridge." She waited. Nothing else came. "Okay, but why does that make people want to kill you?" The old man's expression darkened. Slowly, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a photograph. A massive steel structure stretched across a river, half finished, towering, impressive. Even unfinished, it looked important. "Our neighborhood has spent years under the thumb of the East Side Syndicate." The atmosphere in the room shifted immediately. Everyone recognized the name, even Nia. The East Side Syndicate wasn't just a gang, it was an empire. Money, influence, power. Entire districts answered to them. Marcus tapped the photograph. They controlled transportation. Realization slowly appeared on Jade's face. "If this bridge opens," Marcus nodded, "they lose control. And money. A lot of money." Silence followed. Suddenly, the bounty made perfect sense. Marcus stared at the photograph. His weathered fingers tightened slightly around its edges. "We've spent years building this." His voice softened. "My people sacrificed everything for it." For the first time, Nia understood. This wasn't about concrete or steel or construction. The bridge represented freedom, a future, a chance to stand on your own feet, and somebody wanted to take that away. Nia looked at the old builder, then at the photograph, then back at him. A grin slowly spread across her face. "Sounds important." Marcus laughed softly. "Yeah. It'll get finished." The words escaped before she could stop them. Simple, certain, absolute. Marcus blinked. "You're pretty confident." "No." Nia crossed her arms. "I'm stubborn." For the first time since entering the room, the old builder smiled.
Greenleaf Hood. Chapter 5. The Man with the Iron Blade. By the time Squad 9 left Greenleaf Hood, the sun was beginning to sink toward the afternoon skyline. Nia had never realized how different the city looked outside her neighborhood. Back home, everything felt familiar. Every basketball court, every apartment building, every corner store, even the graffiti felt familiar. Out here, everything felt bigger, colder. The streets were wider, the buildings taller. People walked faster. Nobody smiled. Nobody greeted each other. Nobody looked at anyone longer than necessary. It felt like a completely different world. Nia hated it. Everybody looks miserable. Jade glanced around. They're probably working. That's not an excuse. It literally is. Nia considered that. Fair. Marcus chuckled as he walked beside them. The old builder seemed much more relaxed than before, at least compared to when he'd first arrived. Nia guessed having actual protection helped. Either that or he'd simply gotten used to the fact that his life was apparently in danger. Neither possibility was particularly comforting. "You really built that whole bridge?" she asked. Marcus nodded. "Not by myself." "Still," she whistled. "That's impressive." The old man's expression softened. "It took years." His gaze drifted toward the distant skyline. "You ever work on something for so long that it becomes part of who you are?" Nia immediately shook her head. "No." Jade didn't hesitate either. "No." Malik thought about it, then slowly nodded. The old builder smiled. "Then you understand." Malik didn't answer, but something in his expression suggested he did. Nia noticed, and immediately became curious. Unfortunately, asking Malik personal questions was about as effective as interrogating a brick wall.
An hour later, they reached the old industrial district. Rusting warehouses stretched across multiple blocks. Broken train tracks crossed the streets. Most of the buildings looked abandoned, which made them perfect hiding places. Ace had become noticeably quieter. Nia noticed it first. His posture hadn't changed, his expression hadn't changed, but something about him felt different. Sharper, more alert, like a sleeping dog suddenly lifting its head. Something wrong? His visible eye drifted toward the surrounding rooftops. Maybe. That wasn't reassuring at all. Nia followed his gaze. She didn't see anything. No movement, no people, nothing unusual. Yet the uneasy feeling in her stomach remained.
The street suddenly felt too quiet. The air felt heavier. Even the wind seemed reluctant to make noise. Beside her, Malik slowed slightly. His eyes narrowed. He felt it too. Jade did as well. Nia wasn't sure what exactly they were sensing, only that something felt wrong. Very wrong. Then Ace stopped walking. Instantly, everyone froze. Marcus looked around nervously. "What is it?" For several seconds, nobody answered. The silence stretched, the atmosphere tightened, and then, boom! Something enormous crashed into the pavement directly in front of them. Concrete exploded, dust filled the air. The shockwave nearly knocked Marcus off his feet. Nia jumped backward instinctively. Her heart slammed against her ribs. What the hell? As the dust settled, a sword emerged. No, calling it a sword felt inaccurate. It was more like a piece of a building, a massive slab of metal taller than Nia. The blade stood embedded in the street. Cracks spread outward through the concrete beneath it. Nobody could possibly wield something that large. Nobody human, anyway. A figure stood atop the sword's handle, balanced effortlessly, as though standing on a sidewalk. Tall, broad-shouldered, wrapped in a dark coat, a bandage-like mask covered the lower half of his face. Only his eyes remained visible. Cold eyes, predatory eyes, the kind of eyes that looked at people and calculated exactly how dangerous they were, or how dangerous they weren't. A slow smile appeared. The stranger's gaze settled on Marcus. "There you are." The old builder's face turned pale, not afraid, terrified. The difference mattered. Nia immediately stepped in front of him. The stranger barely noticed. His attention had shifted towards Ace. For the first time since arriving, his smile became genuine. "Well now." The man's voice carried easily across the empty street. "It's been a while." Something changed. Nia felt it immediately. Ace hadn't moved, hadn't spoken, hadn't changed expression, yet somehow the air around him felt different. He looked less like a lazy mentor, less like a guy who got distracted by cats, and more like someone dangerous, someone very dangerous. Ace sighed, a tired sigh, the kind people made when an old problem returned. I was having a decent week. The stranger laughed. I missed you too. Nia looked between them, then looked again. Neither man appeared surprised, which meant they knew each other, which meant this was bad. Very bad. You know this guy? Ace didn't take his eye off the stranger. Unfortunately. The stranger placed one hand on the enormous blade.
Spirit energy rolled from his body like fog. The pressure alone made Nia's skin crawl. It wasn't just strength. She'd felt strong people before. This felt different, wild, violent, like standing too close to an approaching storm. The stranger's gaze drifted toward Squad 9, then back to Ace. They're young. They're students. That's unfortunate. The smile widened. Nia immediately disliked him. A lot. What exactly is unfortunate? She asked. His eyes shifted toward her. For a brief moment, she felt as though a predator had noticed her. Not fear, not exactly, but close enough. That they'll have front row seats. The grin widened. To your mentor getting buried. Silence followed. Then Nia laughed. The stranger blinked, not because she'd insulted him, because she'd laughed. You really don't know him. What? Nia pointed toward Ace. That guy? The stranger frowned. Yes. He annoys me constantly. Fair. He shows up late. Usually. He lies for fun. Sometimes. The stranger's confusion visibly increased. Nia crossed her arms. But if you're talking all that trash, a grin spread across her face, then you definitely don't know him either. For a second, nobody spoke. Then Ace laughed, actually laughed, a genuine laugh, the kind Nia had only heard once before. The stranger's expression darkened. The amusement vanished from his eyes. You've gotten soft. Ace shrugged. Maybe. The answer somehow sounded more dangerous than a threat. The wind picked up. Dust drifted through the abandoned street. Nobody moved. Nobody blinked. The atmosphere tightened until it felt ready to snap. Nia's pulse accelerated. Instinct screamed at her, run, move, do something. But she couldn't because she finally understood. This wasn't a fight between runners. This wasn't a fight between squad leaders. This wasn't even a fight between gangs. This was something else, something bigger, the kind of battle people talked about years later. The stranger slowly reached for the handle of his massive blade. Spirit energy surged. The pavement cracked beneath his feet. Across from him, Ace slipped one hand into his pocket, still relaxed, still casual, yet somehow even more terrifying. For the first time meeting him, Nia couldn't imagine losing. The stranger's smile vanished completely. So that's how we're doing this. Ace shrugged. You threw a sword at my students. Fair point. For a brief moment, both men stood perfectly still. The city seemed to hold its breath. Then the world exploded. Greenleaf Hood, Chapter 6. Monsters. The world exploded. 1 second, the masked swordsman stood 50 feet away. The next, he was gone. The sound came afterward. A thunderous crack split the air. The street beneath his feet shattered. Nia's eyes widened. Too fast, way too fast. Her brain barely registered movement before a deafening impact echoed across the industrial district. Boom! A shockwave ripped through the street. Windows shattered. Loose debris flew in every direction. Nia instinctively threw an arm over her face.
For a brief moment, she lost sight of everything. When the dust cleared, the swordsman stood where Ace had been, his gigantic blade buried deep in the pavement, concrete spiderwebbed around the impact zone. The problem, Ace wasn't there. The masked man frowned, then tilted his head upward. Nia followed his gaze. Ace stood on top of a rusted warehouse 30 feet above the street, coffee still in his hand, still holding the cup, not a single drop spilled. The silence that followed was almost funny. Almost. Ace took another sip. That would have hurt. The swordsman's eye twitched. You do that. What? The calm thing. Oh. Ace took another sip. Yeah. The swordsman disappeared again. This time, Nia actually saw a part of it. A blur, a distortion, a streak crossing the street. Then another explosion, and another, and another. The city shook. Warehouse roofs collapsed. Steel containers crumpled like soda cans. Shockwaves echoed across the district. Nia stared, speechless. Her squad stood frozen beside her. Even Malik looked shocked, which was terrifying because Malik never looked shocked, ever. The two men moved so quickly that they became impossible to track. Occasionally, Nia caught glimpses, a kick, a punch, a sword swing, then another explosion, another shockwave, another building rattling under the force. It felt less like a fight and more like a natural disaster. Marcus looked horrified. Those are runners? No. Ace's voice suddenly came from directly beside them. Everyone jumped, including Nia. How did you get here? Ace pointed. Upward. The swordsman stood atop a warehouse crane. The giant blade rested across his shoulder. Fast. Nia opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. I hate you. Understandable. The swordsman laughed, a deep laugh, the kind that belonged to someone enjoying himself far too much. You're distracted. Ace sighed. I know. The swordsman pointed toward Marcus. So hand him over. The old builder stiffened. Fear flashed across his face. For the first time since this started, Nia understood something important. The swordsman wasn't here for them. He was here for Marcus. The fight was just the bonus. Ace's expression hardened, a subtle change, but enough. No. The smile disappeared from the swordsman's face. Then this gets unpleasant. It was already unpleasant. You wound me. That was the goal. For a moment, nobody moved. Then the swordsman looked toward Squad 9, specifically toward Nia. His eye narrowed. Interesting. A chill crawled down her spine. She didn't know why. She just knew she didn't like that look. Not one bit. What? The swordsman studied her. Carefully. Almost thoughtfully. Huh. That was somehow worse. What does that mean? Ace stepped forward slightly. A small movement, but deliberate. The swordsman's attention returned to him. A grin slowly appeared. Protective. Observant. The atmosphere instantly grew colder. Nia felt it. Malik felt it. Jade definitely felt it. Something dangerous had just happened, something important, and neither man seemed interested in explaining. The swordsman eventually shrugged. Fine. His hand tightened around the blade. I'll kill you first. Ace groaned. You always pick the difficult option. It's more fun. That's what psychopaths say. The swordsman laughed again, then raised the enormous blade. Spirit energy erupted from his body. The air distorted, the ground trembled. Nia's instinct screamed, "Move! Move now!" Every nerve in her body sounded the alarm. Ace reacted instantly. Get down! The command carried none of his usual laziness, no jokes, no teasing, just authority, pure authority. Squad 9 dropped immediately. A fraction of a second later, the sword came down. The world turned white. An explosion of spirit energy tore through the street. Concrete vanished, steel twisted. A massive trench appeared where the attack landed. Nia felt the shockwave pass over her, felt the power behind it, and understood. If that attack had connected, nobody here would have survived. Not her, not Jade, not Malik, nobody. Dust rolled across the district. Smoke filled the air. Silence followed. Then footsteps. Slow, steady, unhurried. Ace emerged from the dust cloud, completely unharmed, one hand in his pocket, the other still holding his coffee. Somehow the coffee had survived. Nia stared. The swordsman stared. Even Marcus stared. Ace looked down at the cup. Huh. What? Still warm. The swordsman's eye twitched again. Nia wasn't sure if he was angry or impressed, possibly both. A low chuckle escaped the masked fighter, then another. Soon he was laughing openly. You really are impossible. Ace shrugged. I get that a lot. For several seconds, the swordsman simply stood there, thinking. Then, surprisingly, he lowered his weapon. Nia blinked. Wait. The swordsman ignored her. His gaze remained fixed on Ace. We'll continue this later. Ace nodded. Probably. The casual response somehow made the situation even weirder. The swordsman stepped backward. Spirit energy gathered around his feet. Before leaving, however, he glanced toward Nia one final time. That same strange look returned, thoughtful, curious, almost recognizing something. Then he vanished, gone, just like that. The industrial district became quiet again. Nobody spoke for several seconds. Nia finally pointed toward the empty street. What was that? Ace took a sip of coffee. A problem. A problem? Yes, that was a natural disaster. Also true. Jade rubbed her forehead. Malik remained silent, thinking, analyzing. His eyes narrowed slightly. You know him. Ace looked away. The answer took longer than expected. Yeah. The single word felt heavier than it should have. He used to be a runner. Nobody expected that. Nia's eyes widened. What? A long time ago. The city wind swept through the damaged district. For the first time all day, Ace looked tired, not physically, emotionally, like someone remembering things they'd rather forget. The old builder stared at the destruction surrounding them. What now? Ace looked toward the horizon, toward the river, toward the unfinished bridge waiting in the distance. His visible eye hardened. Now? A faint smile appeared, not lazy, not playful, determined. And for the first time since leaving Greenleaf Hood, Nia realized this journey wasn't going to be simple, because if monsters like that swordsman existed, then the world was much bigger than she'd ever imagined. And somehow, she had a feeling the strongest monsters hadn't even appeared yet.